Welcome back to the Hawkins Report, a Stranger Things podcast by LSG Media. I'm your host, Dean.
I'm Jessica.
And on this week's episode, we're talking Chapter 7, The Bathtub. Plenty to talk about tonight.
Oh, we do.
We do. Maybe less than normal, because it is a short episode.
Yeah, I only had 3 pages of notes, and I've been on a good 4 pages every episode, so there's that.
There is that. I just want to remind everyone that this is being recorded live on Mixlr. That's mixlr.com/LSG-media. That's mixlr.com/LSG-media. Hello to everybody in the chat joining us. It is lovely to see your smiling faces. Looking forward to talking to you and to talking to everyone out there in the podcast world about this episode of television as we draw to a close. We're getting there. We are getting to the end, to the conclusion, to the climax. And just as a reminder, we are not spoiled. We don't know what happens in the next week's episode. But in this week's episode, we are going to spoil Chapter 7, The Bath. So if you haven't seen it, shut this off. This is not a review show where we don't get into spoilers. This is spoiler-rich. However, we will not spoil future episodes. We will simply
talk about the episode at hand
and hypothetically guess what possibly could happen. And if we're right, we're right. If we're wrong, which is usually the case, then of course we're wrong. Additionally, we'll probably say bad words.
Well, I was right about one thing, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Back to swearing.
Yeah, like I'm going to do with Jessica if she interrupts me again. I'm going to say something like, you effing B, but I'm going to say the real words. So I'm warning you now that we say a lot of bad words. So scoop up the little kitties and get them out of the room and put on the earphones while you do laundry or cook or drive a bike or work out or whatever. And you know what? Bring us to the gym, man. I'm telling you. I don't know about you guys, but if I work out to music, it fucks up my whole rhythm. Like if a song comes on that's fast, I start working out faster, and that's not necessarily the case depending on what you're trying to do. I always like a talking because then I can vary my rhythm and keep you guessing. So there. Aren't you glad I told you how to work out with headphones because you're not all adults and haven't figured it out by now? I'll be here all night giving you advice. Jessica.
Yeah.
What we're going to do tonight, I think, Jessica, is we're going to give these people a overview of our thoughts on Chapter 7. Then we're going to break it down scene by scene, called explicating, as it were. Look that shit up. And we're going to go through. We are going to get a couple of listener comments, which Jessica has assembled.
There's like a million. I haven't even chosen what I'm going to read. So
we'll read them all. Fuck it.
Oh, God.
We only got 2 eps left. Might as well give people a voice if they haven't been heard. If we read them all the time, maybe they can wait in favor of somebody new.
Yeah, but I think some of them are real good.
All right, then give us the good ones. That's what we care about here.
There's always a winner in the comments, and it involves a picture of somebody getting married to somebody from the show, in my personal opinion,
there you
as far
have
as
it.
Commentary winners. But
we will, of course, wrap with our final thoughts and possible predictions looking at Chapter 8 or what we're hoping is going to happen. Again, we don't know. So, Jessica.
Dean.
Where can you find this podcast and all of our other podcasts? Can you direct these people to the website?
Yeah, you can go to libertystreetgeek.net where you can find this podcast and some of our other podcasts, including our kind of main stage, the science fiction film podcast, as well as some other classics, the Walking Dead podcast, the Game of Thrones podcast, my personal favorite.
Ooh, how come?
Just because the co-host is really phenomenal and very, very brilliant.
Is she also lovely?
Very lovely. And, you know, there's an occasional, commentary up if you are an Illuminati. And maybe there's even a True Detective podcast. So I don't know.
How dare you forget about X-Files?
Oh, why do I always forget
Every
X-Files?
time.
You literally just posted an episode. I don't understand why.
I know. We just covered Bad Blood, which is hilarious. If you guys are X-Files fans, which you might be, you might not even realize that we cover X-Files. We do. We covered the season 10, I guess they called it. Ended up calling it season 10. Not very good, but we covered it. 6 episodes. We got episodes leading up to it, coming after it. And we're going to try to drop one in that feed every month. We had about a 4 or 5 month hiatus on that. That was planned. So, yeah, check out our other shows for sure.
Maybe some new ones coming down
Maybe
the pike.
some new ones coming. And I got to tell you
fall.
guys, listen, we don't do this a lot on our peripheral shows, and we probably should if we plan on podcasting as jobs. And that's make sure that you consider shopping through our Amazon link. It's kind of cool. If you go to amazon.libertystreetgeek.net, that's amazon.libertystreetgeek.net, you can make all of your purchases with 0 extra cost to you, and we get a little slice of the pie we get a little finder's fee. We're like a fixer, you know? We're like the
Right.
guy who brokers the deal. We get a slice of it, and then when the cops come, you guys get arrested, and we get off scot-free, which is pretty awesome. Pretty cool.
Yes, you can do it with your Prime, David Earl. You can do it with anything. You just have to go in through that link.
There you go.
And then you buy whatever you want. You need to buy a bicycle so you can ride with your friends. You
That's
need a
true.
walkie-talkie to talk to Lucas.
Awesome.
You need those plier thingies to break through a chain link fence.
Yes.
You can
buy
get it
that.
all on there.
I don't think you can buy 38 rounds, which is
A
unfortunate.
bear trap, perhaps?
Yes. In the chat, David Earl asked, can I do that with my Prime? Absolutely.
I literally just said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jesus Christ.
Dean actually doesn't listen to me.
Now, I was finally distracted by the chat, so I can't talk shit about you anymore, Jessica.
Well, that's rude, honestly.
Yeah, it's just a portal. It's just a portal that takes you there through us. It's like a finder's link.
Yeah, it is.
All right. We also have membership options and all that shit. Just check out the website. There's a lot of cool shit going on there. You can take a look at what our faces look like if you're into that.
Ew.
Yeah. And you can read a little bit about what we got going on. And there's some blogs by some of our brilliant guest blog hosts.
Yeah, there are.
And lots of different fun to be had. But enough about that nonsense. Jessica, tell me your overall thoughts. Let's top-down, open, just bird's-eye view, like we get of Elle in the bath. A bird's-eye, top-down view of this episode. Tell me what you thought about it. Compare it to the other ones. Tell me how you think it stacks up.
Okay, I'm going to say what I say every week when I start out. I loved this episode. I thought it was really good. I really like all of our people coming together, which is kind of something you always wait for. A lot of TV shows do this where they keep their main characters who may be fighting towards a similar goal apart for a long time.
Yes.
And you're always so excited for that moment where you're like, oh my God, they're going to come together. It's a common thing, I feel like, done in shows that I watch. And that's always that moment that you're waiting for when everyone gets together and they realize they're looking for the same thing and that they can help each other.
Right.
Which we get here. Then we also get them kind of splitting off again, which is interesting. But still, at least all fighting for a similar goal. I really like to see everybody interact with everybody.
I like it. I like your style.
I especially liked Nancy and Mike. I thought they were really cute.
This is something that I've been waiting for a while, which is seeing characters interact with other characters that they haven't had a chance to interact with yet. One show that does this brilliantly is Game of Thrones, because you have characters that literally don't see each other for seasons, even though they might influence each other in some way. But when they finally get to actually speak to one another, it's always something you wait for. It's like when Worf goes over to Deep Space Nine, and you're like, "Ooh, I can't wait to see this interaction." And just I love stuff like this. I love when we have characters that we care about that are built up, and we get to see it. You know, we just covered Highlander, and we talked about the first episode of the TV series where you have Connor McLeod talking to Duncan McLeod. That's cool, man. Or you take anything like that where you have, I think it's the first episode of Deep Space Nine. You have Picard interacting with Cisco. You know, things you don't see every day. It's nice to see them come together, work shit out, and get cracking, which is something I really appreciate about this episode as well. And it's something we've been calling for, and dare I even say, predicted would probably come this week, which is them kind of getting together. Although not really a bold prediction, because as soon as Jonathan gets arrested, you know that some parental figures are going to get involved. And that's exactly what happened. So, without further ado, let's start things off with Stranger Things Chapter 7, The Bath.
You guys hear that?
Mike, it's me, Nancy. Mike, you there? Answer. Mike, we need you to answer.
Is that your sister?
This is an emergency, Mike. Do you copy? Mike, do you copy?
Okay, this is really weird.
Don't answer. She said it was an emergency.
What if it's a trick?
It's your sister. What if the bad people kidnapped her? What if they're forcing her to say this?
We need you to answer.
Like Lando Calrissian. Don't answer.
We need to know that you're there, Mike.
Listen, kid, this is the chief. If you're there, pick up. We know you're in trouble, and we know about the girl.
Why is she with the chief?
How the hell does he know?
We can protect you, we can help you, but you gotta pick up. Are you there? Do you copy? Over.
I copy. Mike.
I'm here. We're here.
So, Jessica,
Yes.
we open up with Mike helping out Elle. He's cleaning her up.
Yes.
He's wiping off her face. She's looking in the mirror. Mike tells her she doesn't need the wig. She's a little concerned. Her face her countenance, if I may use a big fancy word, has this borderline panic and sadness all the time. And she wears this so well, you really feel like she is this out-of-phase child who has lost their childhood in a weird way. And she just wears that on her face so well. And these tender moments between her and Mike, I think, are something that they are the moments that really humanize and add depth to these characters and what gets you very pulled into the story. And we see it here. Mike tells her she doesn't need it, referring to the wig. She asks if she is still pretty, and Mike says, yeah, really pretty. He can't even contain himself. Mike tells her that she is happy, that she's home, and they almost kiss, and it's adorable.
Oh my God, I love everything about it. Oh, it's so cute. I just like that Elle is this basically girl who was made into a weapon, who is now being used to help save somebody's friend and is running away from a government agency. Mm-hmm. And she still has that instinct like a little girl her age would, which is that, is she pretty?
Yeah, it's cute.
It's just so humanizing that despite all the big things going on around her, she's about to flip a van over with her mind.
Yeah.
And she's sad she doesn't have her wig and wants to make sure Mike still thinks she's pretty.
It's brilliant. Floyd in the chat is saying Mike is matured. He can now openly tell Elle she is pretty. You know, that's a good point. Because he does, it's funny, you have these phases of maturity where he won't admit she's pretty, but then he does, but he still can't admit it to his sister, right? So
I know, so cute.
Levels.
Ew, no.
Right. It's great. Of course, Dustin bursts in, and we get our real big hook for this episode.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Which is essentially, he says Lucas is in trouble. They listen to the radio. I love the hard cut to Lucas pedaling his bike fast. They know.
Bad men.
Right. He's moving. He's pumping the pedals and cruising. He's doing that thing like I used to love doing as a little kid, where you're pedaling your bike so fast, you're literally listing the bike from left to right, and you use it to generate as much force into the pedals. You could only do that with those small bikes. Just pumping the fucking bike and trying to go as fast as possible. Mike runs upstairs with Dustin. They see a van from a window. Mike goes to ask Mom if repairs are scheduled. More vans pull up.
Karen is busy on the phone talking to Steve's parents, I assume, looking for Nancy.
I think so. Yeah, good note. Dustin bursts into the conversation and tells Mike that they have to leave right now.
And the way he says it, Mike, and then very calmly, we need to leave right now.
Right. The kids grab their bikes, take off with Al. Brenner sees them, and the chase begins. And we get a very awesome action chase scene here. This harkens to so many chase movies where kids are being chased by adults to me. You got kids on like BMX bikes, cutting through yards, going across driveways, cutting through properties, taking back roads, taking sneaky ways, going down hills that cars just can't access. This was exciting to me. And I thought to myself, damn, these vans are still on them. How are they going to get out of this shit? And I did not see this coming.
I thought they were going to get him, honestly. I was scared.
I wasn't sure, but the special effects of this episode of the van being punched up and over them and blocking the path of the other vans by Elle's telekinesis was very impressive. If we have a complaint about this show, probably the main complaint is the way the monster looks, the way it's very...
The way Hopper bangs a lot of chicks. Oh, wait, that's just me. Sorry.
Just you. You're just jealous. But
yeah, I know.
The van flying over and smashing in front of the other vans that are in pursuit, that looked great. In the way they slow-mo it, it had a very Matrix feel to it. I thought it looked incredible.
Yeah, I liked it. I really did. It was so unexpected, but it was not over the top to me. Where
That's
I was
a great
like,
way to say it.
Because I know last week, I believe Hunter in his comment had said at first when Mike was flying, he was like, "This went too sci-fi for me." And this car moment could have been like that too, but it wasn't at all. Like it didn't feel that way to me at all.
Right.
It didn't bother me.
Awesome.
And shit like that will bother me sometimes.
Right. The kids manage to get away after that, of course. They get to an old... And you know what I like about this? It's a small note, but that van flips over, lands on its hood. Brenner gets out. And the way they shoot this is he walks right past the wreckage and stands in front of it. The wrecked van is something he completely ignores in favor of watching the kids pedal away, which tells you a little bit more about Brenner. Not that we didn't know this, but I think it strikes us as being in character, for he does not give a shit about the guys who are likely dead or seriously injured that probably need to be fucking medevaced out of there because their car went flying through the air and landed on the hood. He totally ignores it, walks forward into the frame. The van ends up behind him, and he looks straight out with that determined look. And you know that the drivers and their injuries are really meaningless to him. The only thing that matters is capturing Elle.
Yeah, exactly. That's all he cares about.
We get to the, I guess, junkyard of sorts. And then Lucas goes right up to Elle. As they're talking, they're like, that was awesome. And Lucas says, that was awesome. Mm-hmm. He takes a knee. He grows up. He's a big boy. He admits to being wrong about her. He apologizes. She also apologizes by saying friends don't lie.
I'm sorry, too.
I'm sorry, too. Handshakes all around, and that's the way it goes. And
the Losers Club is back together.
Another thing I really appreciate about this is that, and I was thinking about it this time around, and we talked about it, I think, last week, or maybe we talked about it the week before, but Elle has always reluctantly used her powers, and now she willingly uses her powers to
Multiple
keep her
times,
friends
yeah.
safe. And it's when we think, wow, that's awesome, or that's cool, or that's this or that, the one thing that we sometimes forget about is the fact that this little girl is likely putting herself through physical trauma. I mean, her nose is bleeding, and she's 11 or 12 years old or whatever the hell.
It's bothersome to her.
And it's she's sustaining physical trauma to do what she does. And part of me is concerned, and I know we're not at predictions, but part of me is concerned that this is a building metaphor that we have for the way she may end up sacrificing herself for her friends in the end.
I don't even want to hear that shit on this podcast.
So I'm just preparing you for that
possibility.
possibility.
This to stop right now.
All right, let's move on to the opening credits. And then we come back. Joyce and Hopper get to the police station. Of course, we know why they're there. Jonathan beat that ass.
Yeah. Well, you said it sounded like sexual, and it was really weird.
Jonathan beat that ass. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
So Joyce asks, what is going on? Why is he wearing handcuffs? Shooters them off. I like this small town entitlement here, which is she's yelling at the cops to uncuff her to uncuff her son, which is such a small town thing. It's like when the neighborhood drunk gets arrested in the hick town. They're like, oh, let him go. He'll be fine. It's the same mentality, which I like. Small town. I guess what I'm trying to say, small town entitlement.
Right.
But then they show Hopper the box of monster hunting gear, essentially.
No, yeah, but before that, just the idea of like he assaulted an officer, like
Sure.
These cops don't want to let him go. They're such little babies. But immediately when Joyce is like, uncuff him, and Hopper takes her side.
Yeah, he does.
Listen to her. Uncuff him. It's fine.
Yep. Yeah, well, he knows now at this point, right?
Right, but I'm just saying he's also the chief of police, and this kid technically assaulted a police officer.
Right, and one of the things I noticed here, and I think I said this aloud while we were watching it, is I said he's playing tough with Jonathan in front of the other cops, but I wonder if that's just because he has to.
Yeah, and 100% is.
Yeah, and then when he gets him in, he has some answers. Jonathan doesn't think he's going to believe him, but of course we cut away before we
You won't believe me, and he says, how about you give me a try?
Boom.
And he's saying it in this threatening manner, like he's saying, like, yeah, how about you give me a try? We're going to go talk in my office. Like with the way a cop would talk to like an asshole kid, I assume. Where he's like, all right, yeah, you're going to come talk to me. Give me a try with your bullshit story you're going to tell when he doesn't believe it.
Right.
And he's saying it in that way where he sounds tough, but deep down he's like, I have the feeling he's going to say something that's going to be part of what I've been dealing with.
Awesome. Mom goes to the basement and finds a strand of long blonde hair. Skinny legs and long blonde hair. Actually, skinny
that's
legs
funny.
and long red hair. And then, of course, a gang of government agents show up at the Wheeler residence. We cut to them searching the house, so obviously they are let in. They interrogate the Wheelers about the girl. Mom asks about this girl and gets nowhere. Dad asks if she's Russian, which is hilarious.
No, I just like his response. They're like, okay, so a girl's been living at the house, and Mr. Wheeler's like,
yeah, he scoffs.
the only women in this house are the ones I murder and bury below the basement. There's been no girls I don't know about.
Nothing to see in the crawl space.
Dead hooker hair, says Floyd Fry in the chat. Exactly.
Dead hooker hair, yeah.
Exactly.
Mr. Wheeler thought all his sins had come home to roost.
He's like, oh no, the time has come. They found me out. But nope.
Nope, he's still in the clear.
By the way, I really like Karen's reaction to this, that she basically freaks out.
Yes.
And she's like, how can you ask me to give you information when you're telling me nothing?
Right.
And Brenna comes back with like, hey, Mike is in danger. You need to trust me. I promise I'm going to help you. And I understand her thought process of like, okay, we have to trust these adults.
Well, yeah, and it's in the way it goes down is that it starts with that blonde woman, and then Brenner taps her on the shoulder, and he sort of comes in for her, and he empathizes. He understands. He wishes he could tell you more. Your son is in danger. We will help him. You need to trust me. He's saying all the things that she wasn't. She just wanted answers. And he sort of says, all right, let me handle this. It's getting heated. Allow me to work my creepy Brenner magic.
Ugh, I know.
And that's exactly what he does. So Mom nods an affirmative when he asks if you're going to, I need you to trust me. Sure. He asks if she knows where they may have gone. And of course, we're going to cut away to a top-down shot of Lucas sharing his intel with dirt lines and sticks. So they're making a cool little map.
Oh, yeah.
This is so classic. We used to do this shit all the time. Like when we would play football, we would like take a knee and be like, all right, here, you're going to run up this way. Use a stick. You're going to run a fucking post pattern.
Good Lord.
Drawing, of course, in the sand or in the dirt was a common thing for young boys. Anyway. They talk about the Department of Energy, and Mike says it is military because his dad said so. That's such a little kid logic.
I know. But it is. But even like earlier in the show, when he's like, okay, Allie, you're going to go to my front door and ring the bell because my mom will know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. They have soldiers and stuff. The meeting is broken up by an approaching helicopter thundering across the sky. I love this. Just way off in the distance, you see this black helicopter cruising in, and the kids are smart. They stuff their bikes under the bus, they climb onto the bus, and they hide.
I like Mike's line where he says, we can't go home, we're fugitives now.
Awesome.
Which sounds like it's ridiculous, but it's the truth.
It is the truth. It's got to be tough for a 10-year-old to say that.
Daniel Falch in the chat, I probably said that wrong, says Dustin and Lucas don't even have parents, which they do. I saw their parents at the funeral.
That's the only time I saw them.
They're just very uninvolved parents. They only show up for deaths of friends.
Yep, that's it.
As is, I feel like most 80s movies and shows, like we see the parents of our main characters and nobody else seems to have any parental figures. It seems to be a common trope of almost any movie.
I like it.
About teenagers.
Junk Fist in the chat says Lucas takes out the chopper with a wrist rocket. I like it. Yeah, that pulls fucking John Rambo like he does in First Blood, throwing a rock at the helicopter.
I don't see Rambo, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, Hopper asks Jonathan, so blood draws this thing. They're talking about that part of the story, right?
They explain their theory to them. We are led to believe that they went over everything that they've gone over together now with Joyce and Hopper.
Right. Troy's mom shows up.
Oh, before Troy's mom shows up, we have a whole conversation between Joyce and Jonathan.
Oh, chastising him for trying to fix this alone. This is important.
Trying to risk his life, risk Nancy's life. Jonathan acts like he's alone, but he isn't. And if he wasn't 22, I would date him, but he is.
So here's what I like about this. They finally addressed the thing that we've been talking about, right? This is something that you and I have mentioned before. Mm-hmm. We've talked about, okay, this is something that we know, the young boy taking on the mantle of responsibility without a strong male positive role model in his life, taking on that responsibility. And at least now she's addressing it. She's saying, no, you're not alone. Listen to me. Understand that we are in this together. We're going to get through this. This is a good moment by Joyce as a mom. And I like this. You can't fix it alone. You're not alone. And then, of course, Troy's mom shows up.
Yes. I forgot the kid's name, so I went back to calling him like douchebag kid.
He is a douchebag, but his name is, in fact, Troy. She says that these men are humiliating her son because, of course, it was a girl that broke his arm and beat him up.
Yes.
A hairless girl that has nosebleeds.
And that's what, because Hopper originally is like, just get this fucking kid out of here. This is stupid. And then he hears bald girl with a bloody nose. And all of a sudden he's like, what did you say?
Right. Hopper inquires about her. Troy admits to witnessing her power. So this is
do things.
This is the first non-involved person who has had any kind of testimony to her power. Because we know that she interacted with people in the store, but some of that could have been coincidental, like the doors closing, right? That could be chalked up as coincidental. But This was a very overt, made the kid fly, broke my arm, threw my other friend across.
Made me piss myself.
Made me piss myself. Can make you fly and piss yourself, he does say specifically. Hopper asks if she was alone, and Troy reveals no.
She always hangs out with those losers. I like Hopper's response. Losers? What losers?
Boom. Bringing it all together, which is exactly what this is doing. This is a great setup episode for the conclusion, and that's what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Steve and his pals sit and talk about Jonathan. Steve's still got a real fresh raspberry on his eye, busted up face, and he's nursing his wound.
Takes some aspirin, puts the soda on his eyeball.
Yep, all for a grand total of $1 and change.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive, honestly. It cost me like $17 to buy a bottle of Advil the other day.
They discuss Jonathan's O face, which is a bit disturbing. They're wondering what Jonathan's face is.
Not just his O face. They say that that's the face he must have made when he killed his brother and when he was screwing Nancy.
His O face?
No, that's what they're talking. They're talking about how Jonathan looked when he was beating.
Gotcha.
They talk about.
There you go.
How Jonathan looked when he was
American,
beating up Steve, and they say that must have been the face he made when he killed his brother, or like the face he made when he was screwing Nancy.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Steve says she should have stopped them. It gets heated, and Tommy warns him not to start anything. Steve speeds off. So, Jessica.
Oh, God.
I should have queued up tape. This is a big production miss by me, and I apologize. But I'm pretty sure you had some strong... I think it goes something like this. Steve is such a piece of shit. I hate Steve. He's such a bad person. I can't stand Steve. He's the worst human being of all time.
Why am I like a Valley girl when you do impressions of me?
Steve is such a bad person. He is the worst person of all time. I think he is so terrible. How do you feel about Steve now?
Oh, God.
Should we wait till we get to him scratching off the slut graffiti?
No, because I have something to say about this. Because I did say last time, if you all remember correctly, chat, when I was talking about how Steve is the worst human who ever lives and I wanted to kill him. I did say, though, that the impression that we were given in the last episode that it was Tommy who did the spray painting, not Steve, which I was correct about. But the problem is still that Steve did not stop him from doing it. He still let him do it, which is still shitty. But he does call his friends assholes. And I like when Carol calls Nancy. Is her name Carol? What's her name?
I think it is Carol.
I don't know. Bitch face.
Bitch face is good.
I like when she calls her a slut with a heart of gold, which is similar to the stripper with a heart of gold.
That's our favorite.
We like to talk about her a lot in this household. I know that may sound weird, but the stripper with a heart of gold does come up often in conversation.
It's true.
Anyway, Tommy's a wicked douche when he's like, "Oh, Steve, you shouldn't fight me because you couldn't even fight Jonathan Byers." So yeah, I think Steve might really like Nancy and not be like, he's like a typical douche, but he's maybe not like a piece of shit asshole, like I said last week. So I don't hate him right now, even though I'm trying really hard to.
Gotcha.
He does have great hair that people in the chat are talking about. And also, oh gosh, I got to read the exact quote. This was not a comment on the comments thing. Megan Garrett said she didn't enjoy Steve much until she realized the respect she had for how his hair defies gravity. And I think that is the only way to really, truly describe Steve.
There you go. Deborah in the chat says, Steve reminds me of Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street. Maybe the hair.
It is the hair for sure.
Yeah. I wonder if Steve will be sucked into a bed fatefully. I think that was Johnny Depp's first movie role. There's a little movie trivia.
Do you think Steve's going to do something like heroic in the next episode? Because I think he's going to just to like make me eat my words.
It's possible he does something heroic. Like maybe, what do you think is something that he would do that could be, well, like let's predict Steve's heroism.
Oh, God. I just feel like he's going to do something that in some way is going to help Nancy and them to get to their goal of getting Will back and killing the monster.
Is it possible that he uses his hair as some sort of conduit between
like
the
maybe
normal
it will
realm?
Distract the monster or something.
Maybe, yeah. It's like a blowfish. He just fucking shakes his head around. The monster gives pause because Steve looks bigger.
Yeah, like what'll happen is the monster will smell Steve's blood because we know blood is a thing. So it's going to come to get Steve, and then he's going to floof his hair.
He's going to floof it.
And the monster's going to be like, what's that?
He's going to be like, hold on. Let me hang upside down and give me that can of Aquanet.
Do we think he's going to die, though, Steve? I don't know. I feel like the stakes are high and somebody could die, but then I also feel like, oh my God, are people actually going to die? And then I remember about Barb.
It's true.
We'll get there.
All right, there we go. So the agents load cars with boxes. Joyce, Hopper, and Nancy watch from afar through some field glasses, binoculars, whatever you want to call them. Nancy wants to go home. Hopper tells her no. They try to discuss possible hiding spots, and Jonathan thinks he has an answer. They rush back to Joyce's place and find a radio. Yeah. So this is cool because this is a physical reminder that the bad guys are the enemies. It's not just about adults versus kids, and that's cool. You can see Hopper's like shit. He sees these guys searching their home, and And it's a concern. They have to stay far away. They can't be discovered.
Right. And I like the fact that, Hopper's like grilling Nancy. He's like, listen, you cannot go home. It's dangerous. Tell me where we can find Mike. Where would he be? Where does he hide? And Nancy has no clue. She's like, I haven't really talked to him. But Jonathan's like, wait a second. My brother was best friends with Mike. I know about this walkie-talkie that they all play with all the time. And I think sometimes we forget about Will.
Yep,
who's
I
the
agree.
catalyst for all of this.
Yep, I agree.
And we almost sometimes forget Jonathan and Joyce's the stakes that they have in this. Especially when we have less of like Joyce like crying and being psycho, which we've had less of that. But I think this was a good way to bring that back. That that's right. Like these boys are looking for their friend. Joyce and Jonathan are looking for their family member.
Sure.
There's still that thing that it's all connected. And I do sometimes think that we forget about Will as the catalyst in the show because there's so much other stuff going on and Elle has become so important to the plot that we forget that. And this was a good way to bring that back into focus, that he is the thing that connects them all and has them looking here. Because yes, Nancy's looking for Barb, but it really at the end of the day all comes back to Will.
I concur. Yeah. And, I'm glad you brought that up. Nancy doesn't know where Mike is, but Jonathan has a very good idea where where they will
They'll be
because
based
of
on Will.
And that just shows you the relationship that Jonathan had, which we forget about because we only saw it very briefly.
But it was lovely.
It was a great relationship he had with his little brother.
That's when I started to love Jonathan.
And Nancy has a different relationship with Mike. Obviously, she's a teenage girl. She doesn't want to hang out with her 10-year-old brother. That's a different relationship. It's a little more strained, as you would imagine it would be. And I like that. It's kind of neat. But back on the bus, the radio crackles to life. Nancy's voice calling for Mike. The boys listen. Mike suggests the bad people could be forcing her to answer. They talk about Lando Calrissian.
I love that, by the way.
Yep, Dustin,
because
right?
we assume this is what, 1983 this takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So we just probably saw Return of the Jedi,
Nope.
right? Oh,
Not
yeah.
yet.
77, 80, 83.
Oh yeah, you're right. But it would have been Empire Strikes Back where the betrayal
But that's what they're
happens.
thinking about, exactly.
Right,
so
right.
we don't necessarily, so whether or not Return of the Jedi had come out or not, Star Wars is still this huge thing at this point.
Right, absolutely.
And that's like in the minds, like, okay.
Could be them. We could be getting
Lando,
bamboozled here.
Lando Calrissian, like the
Right.
way he says it. It's really cute.
Of course, Hopper takes over, and they do, in fact, answer.
Yeah, he's like, listen, kids, let's get going. I know about the girl. And I think that that's what makes them listen to him is when they realize he actually knows everything. And they get to the point where they have to trust an adult.
Yep, I like it.
And they've wanted to trust adults. My dad says it's the government or whatever, so I know it is. And my mom can help Elle. I know it. And
Yeah. Steve cleans up the slut graffiti. He climbs that ladder with that glorious hair blowing in the wind. And he puts some elbow grease into that slut painting, and he just gets rid of it.
I want to read a comment from the chat that I missed at the time because we moved on to the next thing. But now since it's appropriate again, based on us talking about Steve, Hunter in the chat says, redeeming points of Steve, not raping Nancy in her room. His Tom Cruise impression when getting rejected, calling what's his nuts an ass. Douchebaggery points, everything else.
Help me help you. Anyway, that's all I got for Tom Cruise. Back at the Wheelers, Mr. Wheeler says that we have to trust these people. They are the government. Boy, this guy could not be more antithetical to me than anyone else. They are on our side. And his instincts are wrong about everything. He's wrong about
Except
the bad
his
guys.
instincts to murder.
Yeah. Except for his keen hunting instincts when he's stalking the local bus yard.
He's really good at that shit.
He's like, oh, want a ride? I see you missed your bus. Looks like you got a little run in those fishnets. Hop in. Oh, great. Nice knowing you. Put her face on a fucking milk carton.
That is true.
That is true. Back on the bus. Dustin furiously paces. He's frantic. He doesn't feel good about this. The government people show up, and he says, Lando, as they hide. So he's thinking maybe they were betrayed.
That's right.
And then we go to the government people looking around. They have tranquilizer guns. At first, I was like, damn, they are getting tough. They have firearms. They're going to murder kids. And then I saw that they were actually tranquilizer guns. 3 men, 3-piece suits, good mustaches. I applaud these guys for
their
look.
mustaches are right on, honestly.
Very powerful. Fucking Starsky and Hutch. So Mustache finds the bikes and heads to the bus. And he gets smashed by Hopper. And
typical Hopper.
Typical
Just beats
Hopper.
the shit out of people to get what he wants.
Just manhandles these suits.
Just Hopper being Hopper.
I don't really know how we got the drop on 3 of these guys, but hey, it's television. I don't want
We
to.
gotta like give in a little, okay? If we're gonna
Yeah.
believe that he banged everybody in town, I guess he can be with 3 guys at once, okay?
I guess, especially 3 guys who are not in a huge space that they're not particularly far apart.
Their
I mean,
mustaches were on point, though.
yeah, I think only one had a mustache. To be perfectly honest.
Well,
with you.
that mustache was on point.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm sorry that he got his face punched in.
So we all meet up. Nancy was worried about Mike and asks Elle,
Is that my dress? I like that moment. It's cute.
Awesome. And, of course, we cut to Mike explaining the flea and the acrobat. So he's bringing them up to speed. And this is something that I really enjoy about this. The kids are the heroes of this, right? This
Right.
tale is about Mike, Dustin, and Lucas. Hopper is a major character, as is Joyce and Jonathan and Nancy. But they, I think, are less important than Mike, Lucas, and, of course, Dustin. Because they are explaining everything to them. They're saying, listen.
Yes.
This is how it works. And you notice that with the hierarchy because later Jonathan and Nancy explain stuff to Hopper. So the kids.
Well, they already had explained stuff to Hopper.
But my point is that the kids are always explaining things to the adults.
That's what I was
which
just going to say.
keeps it important as far as the kids being the main characters.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is if you pay attention, it starts with
Right.
we have Jonathan and Nancy explaining things to Joyce and Hopper, and then we have the kids explaining things to Jonathan and Nancy and to Joyce and
Yes,
Hopper.
absolutely.
So it continues down, and as we get to our younger group, they're the ones with the most information.
Perfect. So the kids try to explain it. Joyce asks about Will, and Nancy asks, of course, about Barbara. Elle tries to make contact and fails. She's sorry she can't find them. In this moment where she goes to the bathroom to contemplate again, we have that bathtub lingering in the shot of the mirror. We know it's called the bathtub, so we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop here, and it does. She's upset. The bathtub looms in the shot, and we cut away. The kids are now talking about the nature of her powers, how she has to rest, and then she walks into the frame and just says bathtub. Mm-hmm. And then the kids are going to give somebody a call, aren't they?
Yep.
How much do you think Mr. Clark paid for his date? How
I do
many
not know.
American dollars?
I'm pretty sure she may be a stripper with a heart of gold. I don't know. Trying to work her way through college.
So she's very attractive. So she's a call girl because she comes to his house.
Oh, yeah.
She's Asian, so she gets like an exotic bonus, right?
She's
So
actually
gets,
really pretty.
right. So she gets like an exotic bonus. I'm guessing a week's pay.
Seems reasonable.
I'm guessing probably a week's pay, which means he must have been pretty pissed when he had to take that phone call because he's cutting in on his I could be banging this hot Asian call girl.
But he wasn't banging her. He explained to her how the special effects in the thing work.
That's true. I think that's his foreplay.
Which, by the way, I appreciated that it was a thing because, as we know,
Yeah.
I'm high on that movie.
Yeah.
In the chat, Rob Zamajowski?
Rob
I pronounced that wrong. Whatever. He's the second time Dustin cockblocks in this episode, and he is correct. This is time number 2.
That little shit. Awesome.
And I love that it's Dustin that calls because it's so Dustin.
It has to be Dustin.
And he's like, he has a science question. It's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Can we talk about it Monday? He's like, no, sensory deprivation tanks. They want to know how to build one. Why? For fun.
Yeah.
And
We're
then
going to take LSD and just get real deep in that thing.
the curiosity door thing every time, it is just so cute. He's like, you always tell us to keep the door open to curiosity. Why are you keeping this curiosity door locked?
Right.
Mr. Clark's like, oh, fuck. I've been saying that every class. I got to tell them.
Too funny.
It's really good. I like the conversation between them, and I like then we cut to Dustin like writing down, okay, yep, that's what we need. Great. Interesting. Okay, see you Monday.
Perfect. So he says we need 1,500 pounds of salt.
I know.
Crazy.
Where are they going to get that?
I think.
And they arrive at the middle school.
Yeah, they do. So take me through some of this.
So they arrive at the middle school, and they start to collect some de-icing salts. Hopper basically tells Jonathan that if they're going to find Will, Jonathan is not going to be involved. Joyce has been through enough, so he can back off. And they kind of argue about it.
Yep.
And we continue through shots of everybody getting ready for this event. Mike and Nancy breaking into the room to get a hose. Dustin and Lucas are setting up the pool. I already said about Jonathan and Hopper are together. And Elle is talking with Joyce.
Wow.
And then we can get into these conversations more. Why did you just say wow?
I'm looking at a statistic I got for you.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to know how many tons per lane mile Massachusetts uses in salt usage every year? Because I was wondering.
I don't know. They do a
1,500
pretty
pounds.
shitty job like last winter, so please tell me.
Yeah, it's well, where we live. They do better in Boston. But So 19.4 tons per lane mile.
How many pounds is that?
Well, it's 2,000 pounds per ton. So a fuckload.
So 1,500 is not that much.
And I'm guessing we're supposed to believe that this mountain town gets more snow than we do. But yeah, pretty wild. 19.4 in Massachusetts. That's the highest. Isn't that funny? Which is funny because we don't get the most snow in Massachusetts. That's weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is that where I live in Massachusetts, they do not use that much salt because it is not very easy to drive to work.
Yeah, the side streets here suck.
People in the chat are talking about the salt in the actual episode. Floyd Fry left a comment saying that they actually dissolved 1,200 pounds of Epsom salt in the kiddie pool, and that she was actually floating in the water like that.
That's awesome.
Because I know in the chat they're all talking about how it was that something they actually did, and apparently yes, it was, which I like. Cool. I'm glad that they did.
So where do we leave off here?
I just went through briefly what everybody was doing. If you want to go into more detail.
Okay, cool. So, of course, the lads are loading stuff. Dustin and Lucas unfolding in the kiddie pool, all that shit. You got all that already. She tells Elle that she will be there. I like the stuff between Joyce and Elle.
Before that, because that's the last thing we kind of see, I just maybe want to talk about the conversation between Nancy and Mike.
Yeah, that's right before Joyce and Elle talking. Go for it. Mike asks Nancy about Jonathan.
Yeah, both. Nancy saying, "What did she eat?" and I love Mike's like candy, leftovers, Eggos. And then the guy thinking about his girlfriend, how cute she is. He's like, she really loves Eggos.
Oh, it's adorable. That's so adorable. She likes them enough to blow up a grocery store and take a gang of waffles into the woods to eat.
Right. And their comments are so funny. Like Nancy's like, wow, I thought you were acting weird, but I thought it was because of Mike or because of Will. Mike's like, yeah, I thought you were acting weird because of Steve.
Yeah.
And then they make a pact, no more secrets. And Mike's like, okay, do you like Jonathan?
What? No.
Not like that. And she's like, do you like 11? And I like that she calls her 11, not Elle. She's very proper. And Mike's response, what? Ew, no, gross. Typical 12-year-old response.
Very cool.
So anyways, now you can move on to Joyce being very, very sweet in this very touching moment.
I love this because, one thing the show doesn't let you do is it doesn't let you linger too long on the tragic nature of a character like Elle, being a little girl who has no childhood, who has no parents. At that age, can you imagine that? I mean, that's brutal. So watching Joyce finally interact with Elle and Joyce's motherly matron instincts, maternal is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, not matron.
Not matron.
Maternal.
I like that. And I like how Elle responds to it positively.
It's really a very, very sweet moment. I like that she calls Elle brave and she thanks her.
Yes.
Like, do you think this little girl has ever heard anything like that from an adult her entire life?
No, and that's a good point.
It's so wonderful. And you can tell that it means something to Elle, and you can tell that she has trust in Joyce.
And it's genuine. Joyce is a genuine person. There's no bullshit with Joyce.
Not at all. I hope that she adopts Elle when this is all over. Especially if Will doesn't make it out alive. She probably will need a new kid, and Elle's available.
And she says to...
just saying.
Since your son is dead, would you like to purchase this new model?
I think she can get her for free, honestly.
I'm pretty sure Will isn't going to run anymore. We're just going to go ahead and put him up as totaled. We're going to call Will totaled at this point. I think we can probably get you with no money down. With no money down, we could probably get you into an L.
And she has superpowers.
Yeah,
so I know Will can draw really well and stuff, but Elle can actually flip a car over and make children fly.
Right. So you know what? Don't even worry about the credit check. We're going to go ahead and pre-approve you right now. We want to send you home with an L because let's face it, the Will model, well, it's outlived its usefulness, as they say.
Sorry.
But no, in all seriousness, she says, if it gets too crazy, you let me know. This is important. Right. It's important because Joyce has been fucking relentless in terms of anything involving Will. And it shows that she has a heart and that she cares for this Elle girl and she understands Elle's predicament enough to say, I'm willing to have you pull yourself out of this and deny contact with Will, which is the only thing I want. That right there is Joyce making a moral choice to keep Elle safe than to hear about Will. And that is a massive step for Joyce. Mm-hmm. I like it a lot. So anyway, they fill the tub with salt. They measure it with the egg. They set her up. They get the radio going. She puts on her mask and enters the tub. Or pool, I guess you could say.
And then she's in the upside down.
And it starts right away. The lights start to flicker. This is a pretty long sequence here. The lights start to flicker. She floats. She arrives in the Upside Down. She approaches what looks like something that was washed up on the sea. And it is old Barb.
I knew Barb was dead. R.I.P. Barb, but I knew you were dead. I just had that feeling.
Oh, Barbara. She's dead. Poor thing. Some kind of gross,
Ooh, a snake of
slimy
sorts?
thing comes out of her mouth, which is ironic.
Is what?
No, nothing. Nothing.
Oh my God, how dare you?
Nothing. I'm not even gonna pursue that line.
She was judging Nancy.
She was judging Nancy for taking a snake in the mouth, and now
Look what happened to her.
look what happened to her.
Payback's a bitch, Barb.
wow, that's dark. So Joyce reassures her. Elle hears. We should probably note that Elle screams, "God, God, gone."
And by
I think.
God, you mean gone.
Yeah,
She does not scream God.
Sorry, spell check. Gone, gone. Joyce reassures her.
Your spell check is religious.
I think so. Elle hears it in the Upside Down. This is awesome. So we've never seen this before. And what I love...
What, them hearing each other? Yes, we have.
No.
Oh, okay.
Elle being reassured.
Oh,
That's
yes.
something Brenner has failed at. Because Brenner is a
Piece of shit.
sociopath.
He's actually a douche, like way more than Steve Harrington.
Because he is a sociopath and he can't relate to her feelings and he doesn't really care about her feelings other than what it gets him, and Joyce does, her reassuring Elle in the Upside Down is what leads her to find Castle Byers. Awesome, right?
That's true.
So she finds Castle Byers. She enters Castle Byers. She sees Will.
Cute.
We
He wasn't
see
good.
Will. But we see Will. He does not have snakes crawling out of his corpse mouth.
He's alive
He is alive.
currently.
He looks like a vampire. He looks like let the right one in kid. He does not look good.
No, he don't look good.
Looks like a little vampire boy. And she tells him, "Mom's coming, dude." So
And
hang
his
on.
response is kind of chilling. He's just like, hurry.
Very chilling.
And he's not like, the way he says it, it's just like matter of fact.
We hear it over the radio too,
Yes.
which is good for Joyce in a sense.
And she hears the monster outside, Elle.
Mm-hmm.
And then poof,
Will vanishes in a puff of smoke.
it's all gone.
Yes. Oh, who else did this? Oh, you know who did this? The Russian guy. Same effect, right?
The poof with the smoke.
Yeah, the way he kind of went.
I think so.
Yeah, it was the same kind of effect. I think that's important to note. That means that she had contact with Will, but not his physical location, which is kind of neat.
Right.
Anyway, Elle starts to panic. She comes out of the Upside Down.
Oh, I want to make a comment about Castle Byers, though. Sorry.
By
Before
all means.
I forget, we get past it.
The dog.
Yes. Last week when we were talking about this, or the week before, whatever week that we went to Will's funeral, we talked about the dog and how the dog went to Castle Byers and was like laying there, and I was, like me. Oh my God, dog, so cute.
Yep.
I love him. I want to hug him. And Jamie Lomas has left a comment, or he's mentioned in the chat, or he wrote about it on his blog, that he thought that meant something because dogs will go to where their owner is, like they know when their dog's coming. I think it was Jamie Lomas that said that, right?
I think so.
I hope I'm not wrong, and if so, someone could just punch me in the face.
Line up. Jesus Christ.
So anyways, it's funny because that comment, which is something it's such a small thing that you probably wouldn't look into too much, but it's so true of pets and how they are with their owners. And I didn't even notice it at the time, but now here we are, and he was right. Will is in Castle Byers, and the dog knew, probably,
Right.
which I think is a very nice touch.
Yes. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Joyce and Jonathan follow Hopper to go to the fort because they know exactly where that is.
Well, first, Hopper does not want Joyce to go.
Yeah, he doesn't. And she says, "Listen, pal, I am going."
Yeah, listen, bud.
Jonathan
And he gives in.
Yep, Jonathan stays behind. Hopper and Joyce leave. They speed off. Inside, Jonathan sits down with Nancy, who is obviously troubled.
She's sad about Barb, but she says, this is her thing. She says one thing, we have to go back to the station. And Jonathan's like, say what? And it's because Hopper and Joyce are going in like bait, and they can't just let the monster get them. I
Right.
love her quote. I want to finish what we started. I want to kill it.
I didn't expect this from Nancy, and that
I
was
love
awesome.
it.
I did not expect her to turn up the intensity, to ignore the pain of her friend's death, and to go right into, we're going to straighten shit out.
I
We're going to go in
really
there and
like
fuck this
it.
thing up. That was badass.
I really, really like this from Nancy. I like that Nancy is becoming such a hero in this.
Yeah.
I like that she's, I like brave girls and things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciated this scene.
Joyce and Hopper get to the fence. We see a very familiar shot of him cutting the fence, which is what he did before.
She's like, this is your plan? He's like, yeah, it worked last time. It's cool. Yep. I got it.
And that once he cuts the fence, we cut away. Nancy and Jonathan break into the police station, which has the worst security ever.
Oh, my God, I know. But, I mean, what do you expect, honestly?
We'll have to overlook that. Monster hunting equipment recovered. Hop and Joyce get captured. And then we move over to the final scene of the episode. Do you want to talk to me about this?
We see Will in Castle Byers, and he's shivering and looking like he is not doing so well.
Yep.
He's singing his song, Should I Stay or Should I Go?
Yep.
And we hear the monster is outside.
Awesome. I think this is his actual physical location.
Yeah, this is him in the Upside Down. We can tell because of the snow and stuff and whatever's going on. So.
And that's it.
It's a pretty creepy ending.
This is a legit scary moment. We have the creature stalking around, heavy footfalls, heavy breathing, big steps, and then boom, it bursts into the fort and scream, the end, fade to black, bang. Crazy, right?
Yes.
Man, wild ending. Good stuff.
I love this ending, and you know what my favorite thing is about the show? That we always pick up right where we left off.
Yeah.
I hope we're not going to change it up this time.
Yeah, that is
Stranger Things.
That is a great point. I didn't think about that. We might. You never know. All right.
If they're going to do it, it'll be the last episode, and I won't be mad at them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get what you mean by that. That makes sense. Do you want to get to some final thoughts? Actually, why don't we do listener comments first, and then we'll finish with some final thoughts. How's that sound?
Gosh, I have so many. Where do I even begin?
I have so many. Where do I begin?
Let's see. Let's start. Well, let me read my good friend Andrea Ramos's comment first.
Go ahead.
She says, I think Barb can bounce back. Just a flesh wound. Also, you can't blame all the chicks in that town for wanting a little bit of Hopper. Wish she was tossing me around like those bags of salts. I just shipped Andrea and Hopper. Hopdria.
Hopdria. Hopdria sounds like the name of a fucking, like, Greek philosopher.
But seriously, the scenes with 11 in the Upside Down, Millie Bobby Brown is such a great little actress. All the emotion she shows in that scene were absolutely incredible. Can't wait to see more from her. She also posted a photo of herself and Hopper on their wedding day.
I saw that.
So if you want to see that, check out the Facebook page.
There you go. Good stuff.
All right, let's see. What else should I read here? Joe Pulcini says,
Joe Pulcini.
I love this show, which is surprising because I generally don't like the mere homages to other work. But I think the reason the show is so good is not that it's a mere copycat homage, but it shows the work ethic and priorities of its creators. It's like a good chef. Instead of saying, I'm going to recreate my favorite dish, they instead say, I'm going to make a great meal. They then happen to choose their strongest ingredients. No dialogue, camera shot, or character feels perfunctory. This wasn't a couple of guys writing out scripts. This feels like the product of sustained, thoughtful effort. I imagine the Duffer Brothers' typical day is as follows. Getting up at 5 a.m, hitting the gym, working in the writing room for 12 hours, going home, tag teaming Terry Garr for an hour. Whoa. And falling asleep while watching Amazing Stories. Seems like a good life.
That's a great comment. Thank you so much, Joe.
I guess
that made me laugh. Made me laugh.
Let's see, who else do I have here? Mark Stepanek says, just rewatch this episode again. Have not seen the last one yet, though. There are a number of scenes in the bus, the deprivation pool, Steve and his ex-buddy going at it, Nancy and Mike being honest with each other, and the list goes on. I'm just waiting to hear or see a false note in the directing or acting, and it doesn't come.
I know. He's like me. He's been waiting for that moment that just hasn't arrived, and that's great.
He says, I'm not rooting against the show or the actors, but I've just been conditioned by the previous series to expect that they won't get it all right. This show does get them all right. I like that the kids act like real kids, not actors playing them. They swear age appropriately, react like kids would do or did back then to their different situations. For them to nail their parts and make them believable to viewers like me who lived through that time is really a credit to their acting and the directing they must be getting. To get the small, subtle details right that sell each scene as authentic. Cannot wait for the finale. They've made the stakes very high, and there's no kidding around at this point, so the payoff episode needs to be special. Hope they nail that, too. He also adds, if Mr. Wheeler was my dad, I really have to kick his ass for not coming to help me, since I'm in real danger, according to Creepy Wheeler. His daughter got the balls in that family.
That's for sure. And Mike.
Yeah, Mike's got some balls, too. All right, let's see. I will read Jamie Lomas. Finally got to watch this episode this morning, he said 5 hours ago. My reaction, mouth open with one of those far-off stares where you can go without blinking for 5 minutes. Ugh. Steve is back to being a wonderful example of human dignity and love. He is amazing. I hope his ex-best friend gets eaten by the monster. This has to happen. Poor Barb. I was both heartbroken and disgusted by the look of the slug crawling out of her mouth with her mottled flesh and all. Terrible. Oh, yeah. Then he says, I was right about the dog knowing where Will was. I swear I did not watch ahead. Sometimes I'm just a genius, especially when it comes to dog behavior. Anyway, I'm totally glad Will is alive, although barely. Can't wait to watch the finale. It will be awesome.
Awesome. Good stuff, Jamie.
And then I guess...
One more?
Yep, I have David Earl.
David Earl.
First, he makes fun of me.
What does he say?
He says, what's the over-under on our favorite Canuck flip-flopping on Steve?
You so deserve that. You so deserve that.
Anyways.
That's amazing.
Does anyone else think Elle was going to make the kids fly? Although flipping the van is pretty badass. I love how the kids just take off. No adult asks where they're going. They just leave. That was my childhood. If I was
Mine
with a
too.
friend my parents knew, we were fine to leave as long as we were back when the streetlights came on. Yep, I remember the streetlight rule. I love that the kids were smart enough to hide their bikes under the buses. Poor Barbara. No one cared about her in life, and almost everyone forgot about her in death. Joyce. Oh, she's dead? Who? Anyway, can you find Will?
No shit. You know what? That's a really good point.
I know.
It's hard to care about Barbara, missing Barbara, when missing Will is so much more interesting to me.
Right?
You know?
On a more serious note, I love the way Joyce interacts with Elle. Joyce's mama chops are shown in full effect. Yes, Elle is being used by adults, but it's Elle's choice, and Joyce brings her great comfort. It's so different from how Brenner treats her. Elle may have a home when this is all done. That's what I said. The dining chairs and floor pattern in the Wheeler house are the same as those in Poltergeist, which was very cool. Quote,
I hear they're also the same as Ted Bundy's house, which is interesting.
quote, why are you keeping this curiosity door locked? You didn't do it for the Runaways with Mr. Wheeler. Dustin is the best. He also posted a link to all the 80s references in the show. This is just this episode. Because I was like, I don't know if I want to click on this.
Yeah, don't.
But it's episode by episode. So I'm just going to post a link to the episode, The Bathtub.
In the chat.
Bam, in the chat.
Okay, cool.
So those are the comments. Although
Awesome.
Tyler Martin did post about how the isolation tanks reminded him of Fringe. Which
Oh, no shit.
I guess he got in trouble with for posting it earlier before we had gotten to this episode, and it was spoilery.
Oh.
She's so sorry about.
No big deal.
But now he can post it. We can say, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Right on. Well, thank you very much for chiming in. If you want to chime in on future episodes on any of our shows, you can hit us on Facebook. But my advice is to go to the website, libertystreetgeek.net. You can follow us in various social media outlets. And if you don't want any social media us, which I get, you can email us at hosts@libertystreetgeek.net. That's hosts@libertystreetgeek.net. And if possible, we will get your comment on the air as well. Thank you for everybody who chimed in. Thank you very much to everybody who turned up in the chat. We are now going to get to our closing thoughts. And do you have some stuff you want to say?
I just want to say that I can't wait to watch the episode, and I wish I could watch it tonight, but I can't because I have to work really early tomorrow morning, so I'm going to have to go to bed at a reasonable hour. I'm really upset about it, so hopefully I can watch it tomorrow, but I probably can't do that either. So I'm probably going to watch it without Dean.
Any closing thoughts about the actual episode we just talked about, or did you want to read your diary some more? Do you want to read your fucking daily
Dear
planner to the
diary.
listeners?
I'm going to watch episode 8.
Got to get gas, got to do an oil change.
Oh, no, I did an oil change. That's actually the one thing I'm up to date on.
Wow.
I really like this episode. I'm really excited for the finale. That's really all I can say other than what I've already said. The show has been absolutely wonderful to watch. I'm very sad it's going to be over, and I just am not ready to let it go.
Yeah. It's important that I address this now. In the chat, they're asking, is the podcast weekly or is it scheduled? First of all, it is weekly, to answer Darth Phoenix in the chat. If you go to schedule.libertystreetgeek.net, that's schedule.libertystreetgeek.net, as soon as we zero in a time to posts, we will have it updated on the website. We do it every week at the minimum, but this one we're going to be done with in less than the 8 weeks it's been running. I mean, I think we've only been running since what? I don't even know. But
Well, definitely it's been less than 8 weeks, and I think I personally want to try and do this one before next Tuesday if we can.
okay.
But we'll see. We don't know. It depends. Scheduling's crazy.
Maybe that means Sunday. But yeah,
Probably not Sunday, but-
soon as we determine it, we will let you guys know by way of going to schedule.libertystreetgeek.net. So check in on that once in a while. Check in on the schedule, and you'll know. when it goes up. If you jump on our Facebook page, we do have a Stranger Things group. If you join that, we, of course, post when we're going to be recording, and we update our Mixler schedule when we can. But yeah, the schedule.libertystreetgeek.net will tell you when everything is coming that we have scheduled.
This show's kind of an anomaly because it doesn't air weekly as far as the schedule goes.
Right.
And my work schedule is a little crazy and changes every week. But we're trying to keep it as close.
We're trying to move. We're trying to move along. Right. We're trying to move.
Yeah, as best that we can.
As far as our other show, like our flagship show, the Science Fiction Film Podcast, that records on Wednesday evening at 9:15, usually Eastern Standard, and it releases on Monday, the following Monday. So every Monday, you're going to get an episode in that feed, and every Wednesday, we're going to be recording that episode live, which is kind of cool. And then if you're a member, you get access to that episode the very next day, so you get it early. You also get a ton of bonus content. So all that shit can be found at libertystreetgeek.net, so make sure you check us out. And I just want to thank the iTunes listeners, all the listeners really for subscribing. We've been between like 15th and 30th and 50th in TV and film and iTunes, which only boasts 200, and there's 30,000 TV and film podcasts.
We're ahead of like podcasts that like I used to listen to like years ago and thought were like the best thing ever.
And
now I laugh at them. No, just kidding.
Wow.
I still love them.
They probably have more downloads than us still, but we're getting a lot of new subscribers and a lot of reviews. So thank you very much if you did review us on iTunes, because it helps immensely. This show has 48 reviews in a month, which is the best performing show we have ever launched. And I just want to say thank you to the community for not only listening to us, but taking the time to review us on iTunes. That is awesome. Not everybody takes the time to write a review. Some of you have written like a full paragraph of a review. And that's awesome, man. Good for you guys. That's really cool. And we appreciate what you have done for us. Very cool. Now,
yes, we do.
To give you some actual content instead of just announcement bullshit, here's what I want to say about the end of this episode before we bid you good people adieu, and that's this. Unlikely heroes is something I wrote down while watching this episode. Unlikely heroes was going to be my final thought this week. And what I mean by that is, Jessica said this when she was talking about Nancy. Kids, teenage girls, distressed moms, younger brothers. These are your heroes. You can watch Saving Private Ryan, which is a great movie, and you can see the actions that are heroic. And of course, it's a much more realistic movie. You can watch a movie with a great sword fighter who's a hero. You can watch a movie with a big, strong Arnold Schwarzenegger who's a hero. Those guys are supposed to be heroes. They're huge, strong combat veterans. They're this, they're that. They're ancient warriors. They're fantasy wizards. They're whatever the fuck in movies is out there where people are supposed to have these heroic qualities. And in this, Drunken Sheriff, Junkfist says in the chat, that's a good one. And in this, you have kids being heroes, doing things without thinking about the consequences. And yes, I know that tonally speaking, this is not, you're not watching, Seven with Brad Pitt, right? It's not a dark movie, but it's cool to see these unlikely heroes stepping up. And that's what we're seeing. And I love that. It's gone from curiosity in what's happening to now we need to get this person back, and damn the consequences. We will do what it takes. And that's great. I like that. It's awesome. So that is all I have to say for my final thoughts for the Bathtub. So I guess we're going to say goodbye now. So Jessica, why don't you tell these people goodbye, and we will catch you guys all on the flip side.
Good night, good people.